Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank y'all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hey, I'm Bryson Wallace.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do. Give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Gotcha. My name is Bryson Wallace. I'm a vinyl DJ as well as a rapper, radio host for a jazz station called KMHD in Portland, Oregon. Originally, I'm from Bakersfield, California. Okay. Spent many years in Oakland, and in 2020 made a trip up to Oregon and haven't been back since. It's been awesome to be able to live my life in music and DJing, making music every day.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
I dig that. I'm from the Bay Area myself. I lived in Sunnyvale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, love.
And actually, you moved up here after I came up here in 2016. So
look at that.
Yeah, we were probably neighbors in some capacity at some point.
Just missed you.
Yeah. But let's start at the beginning. What got you into music initially?
Oh man. Always being around music.
Mm-hmm.
Always wanted to be in music. Either was it rapping or playing bass. First instrument was a clarinet. But always music playing. I grew up with a bunch of aunts, and they all sang amazingly, and so music was always just a big part of it. Grew up in the church and just being a lover of the sound. But because I grew up religious, wasn't able to listen to music with curse words.
Yeah.
So I had to get creative with it. Thus a love for jazz. And other instrumental music became huge, and so on and so forth. My music journey has been so fun and eclectic.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's been fun.
That is the most clever solution to the swear words roundabout that I've ever, most people are like, yeah, I get the censored version. I just hide it from my parents, blah, blah, blah. But you were just like, I'm just going to listen to jazz. It's not a problem.
I'll find other music.
Yeah.
I'll find other music out there. And it was great.
That.
Yeah.
And then when did you start playing clarinet?
That was 4th grade. So I want to say 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when did you transition more into, because you said you do a little bit of rapping. When did you get into that?
I want to say the first time I laid a verse down was 11 years old. Okay. Over J Dilla beats. J Dilla, Madlib, sound providers, Little Brother, Ninth Wonder, all those types of beats that I could find with a soulful aspect or a jazzy undertone was just what drew me in. Gosh. And I had a couple friends at the time were into it, and they wanted to rap, and I would get on there and be more of the most deaf type. So yeah, so just being able to do it was fun. It was a good time, and I just never stopped. I just never stopped being in the room where those creative juices were. So yeah.
Gotcha. I dig that.
Yeah.
And then when did you eventually transition into DJing?
I've been DJing since I was 14, so just being able to fill in. A friend of my best friend, Janice, her cousin had a house party back in when I was maybe 13, 14. And she was like, we need music. You have those turntables. What's up?
Oh, okay.
I got you. I'll come through. I brought a stack of records, and they had me at the top of this house party. I was like, in like the foyer on the top balcony, DJing, having an amazing time. I think it was like the best 20 minutes of my life. And then gunfire started ringing out. And everybody went wild. Everybody was trying to leave out. My tip jar got taken. My table got, pushed over. All my equipment got busted up and beer all over it. But I kid you not, it was just something about that 40 minutes of me rocking an entire house party that was just like, I felt the most adrenaline that I ever had, and I played a lot of sports. I did a lot of things, but just being able to be the maestro was everything to me. And it didn't matter that they didn't know most of the music. It was just music exploration, which I've always run with my entire life. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. And so once you kind of like got into that space, was that just kind of the general direction you moved musically after that?
No, I mean, multifaceted all the way. Whatever I can get my hands on is what I was enjoying. So give me an instrument, I'll have fun with it and do my best to add something tasteful to whatever the folks around me are playing, But mostly I was gravitating towards rapping and having my own music and sitting down with producers and saying, I want this, and this. And I grew tired of being a professional finger pointer and wanted to actually get into it myself. So I started producing a little bit and just making music. Doesn't matter if I was just using voice memo and laying that over in GarageBand. And now I use Ableton. And
we're a big Ableton fan on this show.
Ableton. It's everything, honestly. And so I'm just grateful that I can be surrounded by folks that have the same goals and dreams and ambition and I want to say language of music that we can converse in, so we can just continue to make cool stuff. I've been able to work with cats like James Wavy and just many other artists that mean a lot to me. That said, hey, let's work.
Hell yeah.
We actually worked and we got it done. So Acumen Productions, all those cats, like amazing work from Stephen Fong. That's my guy. We did this album together in less than, I want to say 4 months, called Phrases and Lapis, that released in 2019. But that was just, hey, every Tuesday I want to come through and let's just flesh out ideas. Why not?
Oh yeah.
And most of them were freestyles. Was more interested in making the music and then just go in the booth and just have at it.
Gotcha.
No real plan, no real goal. And so some of them are actual pretty fun things, you know? So
Well, we're going to talk about that in the middle of this interview.
Thanks.
I've got some time carved out for that, but we're still in the foundation setting and I have a couple questions I want to check in with you on.
Cool.
Which I check in with everybody, and this first one is one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Oh.
And I'm pretty excited for this answer. I'm going to be honest.
Man. I love this question. It means so much to me because I still remember that whole day. It was on CD. And remember, I couldn't.
It's still an album.
It's still an album. I have 2 different answers,
Yeah.
But I bought 3. It was Chris Bodie. He's from Corvallis, Oregon. An album called When I Fall in Love. And then Jamie Cullum, 20 something. It's a Blue Note album. He did a remix to Frontin' from Pharrell. Love that. And then what was the third? The Roots.
Okay.
Yeah, The Roots. Homewards. That was volume 1, the yellow cover with the green letters. That was the third one. My sister got me that one.
Oh yeah.
And just huge. But those were the first albums that I bought with my own money that were actual albums. The first CD I ever bought was off of a bootlegger who walked into the barbershop while I'm getting my haircut and he was like, New Black Star. And I was like, Black Star, Talib Kweli and stuff. And I'm like, all right, let me see what's up with that best $5 I ever spent in my life. Ever.
That's amazing. Do you still have that CD?
Yeah, it's scratched to hell.
That is okay. At least it's still the Black Star album is actually the first record I ever bought.
No way.
Yeah, it's not the first album I ever bought.
Hey, that's deep.
Yeah, I found it was a limited release. It was not just the regular black vinyl. And I was at I don't know if you remember Rasputin.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
But that's where I was, and I was just crawling through them, and I looked at it. And I looked at my friend. I was like,
I'm gonna go buy this right now. Yeah, like
Absolutely.
it's framed up on my wall. It is the only record I will ever frame ever. But if one's got to be framed,
you got my
that.
Much respect.
Oh, it to this day, it is still one of my favorite all time albums.
Huge. Yeah, Knowledge Itself is the reason why I picked up a bass guitar. That was big for me.
Yeah, hell yeah. And then what was one of the first live shows you ever went to? That was like specifically one you wanted to go to.
Ooh, at the time, my girlfriend Abby in college took me to Madlib and Freddie Gibbs at the LACMA Museum.
Okay,
in LA.
Damn.
That was huge. That was like such a formative moment in my life, man. That was awesome. And then also right after that, my best friend Grimes, he took me to the Kendrick Lamar Damn concert. So just like huge moments for me as far as seeing what performing looks like. You know, like Freddie Gibbs is an amazing performer. And Madlib was playing incredible things. He tossed a blank CD. I don't think it was blank. I think there was some incredible stuff on it, but it was nothing written on it. He just tossed it like a frisbee, and I tried to catch it, and it hit my forearm.
No,
it went right underneath the stage, and I'm like,
no.
So even to this day, like sometimes I wake up in a cold sweat, like, man,
you're like, I should have called the venue.
Caught it. I could have been anything. I'd be in another country. I don't know.
That would be wild.
Yeah.
Well, damn. I mean, first of all, shout out to your one of your best friends for that. That's
amazing, man.
That is the quintessential best friend. But that's incredible, man. It sounds like you've had some really powerful musical experiences.
Yeah. Now, Grimes, man.
Sorry. Now, before we get into more of what you do in the present day, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
Good question. I want to say I was like, 13, 14. Just that feeling of having a song released on MySpace. I was in a group called Southwest Boys, and it was just hilarious. Junior high kids just like talking about love or whatever, what have you, and just just having that up and having actual feedback. And I actually got reached out to from people in like Amsterdam, you know what I mean? Like just once I realized the accessibility of music and it doesn't have any borders really.
Yeah.
Like somebody in another country could feel what you're putting down, even if they don't know the language too well. That to me, that was like, all right, I can't stop. Like I can't.
Yeah.
There's no way. I love this feeling of being able to, just be myself on a beat and it feel natural. It's like surfing. So yeah.
Hell yeah, I love that. All right, now let's go ahead and let's get into more of the present day.
Cool.
We are going to get what I am pretty sure is the easiest one out of the way.
Yeah.
How'd you pick your artist name?
Oh, I mean, just who I am, man. Figured if you got many things that you're interested in and multifaceted, it's like, I don't want to have 5-6 different names. I want to just be myself. And yeah, I grew up wanting to act. Grew up acting.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
I was like, who's Will Smith?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Like the rapper, the actor, it doesn't matter. It's just his name. So like, I was like, I can do the same thing for myself.
Gotcha. So that was your like conscious decision to do from the beginning, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you at any time ever have like an artist name?
DJ B Wallace.
Okay.
True Blue. True Blue is hilarious. That's it.
That's all right. I love asking that question because there's a 50-50 chance that somebody's going to be like, it's the silliest thing you've ever heard.
Name,
and it often is. So I'm always here for that. So I just always have to ask.
Yeah.
Now, let's take a moment and let's focus more on just kind of the DJing realm.
Okay.
And these are all just kind of focused on the process from here. So the first one's pretty straightforward, though. What do you look for when it comes to track selection?
When it comes to track selection, it all depends on what's playing beforehand. So like, I don't really go in it. I mean, I don't go into it with like, I want to play you first, I want to play you second. Like, it all depends on like the environment of the room, who's there. I discriminate. It is what it is. Like, you got to make your decisions based off of what's around you. And so for me, I focus on a particular peculiar thing in the song at hand. And let's say there's some timbales or like congas, you know, like a Latin flair to it. Whatever I'm going into next should probably have something like that in there. That way there's a melding and a bleeding that happens in between them. So what I like to do is I like to just differentiate that one thing that I find peculiar and think about all the things I have in my crate that would fit that. And then I make a decision based off of time, you know, like if the song is running out, what would be cool on that. So, and I kind of have a bit of like a photographic memory. So like whatever I see in my crate, I already know based off the album what song I want and where that song is. If you do something thousands of times, you know, it's muscle memory from then. So going into another track is, I want it to be like a fraternal twin, not an identical twin, but like a fraternal. Like, there's aspects to it that it's like, okay, I see how you can get to that. And by the end of the hour, we bled into all kinds of different genres because I'm focusing on one particular aspect, not I need this to be 86 BPMs, and I don't ever want to box myself in like that. So
I gotcha. That is a really cool take on that. I appreciate that.
Man, love. Yeah.
And then I guess I'm going to expand the question a little bit more because it sounds like you primarily focus in the realm of vinyl.
Absolutely.
When it comes to like going somewhere to DJ, when you bring the crate, obviously you can't bring your whole collection with you.
Yeah.
What goes into that deciding factor?
If it excites me.
Okay.
If I see the cover and I get excited, then I know it's coming with me. And then, you know, if you have a collection like I do, or, you know, anything, it's like you can get excited every single time. So really, it's more of like trying to vision yourself in the area that you're going to be DJing in and think about who might be there and think what that album that I'm holding might appeal to, you know. So I'm picking based off of my own excitement, but also the possible excitement of who's going to be there.
Gotcha.
So, and not everybody knows everything that I'm playing, but if it's got those elements that I think everybody would love, yeah, it's cool.
Hell yeah. And then do you have I guess you don't have to give this answer away if you don't want to, but do you have any like go-to tracks that you're like, I'm pretty sure this will work every time?
There's one track that I've always like, it means the world to me, and I've never seen it fail. It goes any age range all the way up. Everybody's like, this hits.
Oh God, I was gonna say Cupid Shuffle.
Never.
I'm just kidding.
I had to play that recently. My friend was laughing at me. Shout out Rev Shines. He was laughing because I had to play Cupid Shuffle at a dentistry award show. I'll play anything, man. But the track that is my go-to, that's like my arsenal, like, good luck, everybody. It's Midnight Special by Psychic Mirrors. Yeah, it's a PPU release, and it's insane.
Damn.
It just starts off with just a hit. That's the bass is so amazing, and then as soon as those chords come in, you're in cosmic space.
Hell yeah,
it's beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome.
Groovy, and you would think that it was made in like the 80s, but yeah, it's 2016 hot.
Hell yeah.
Stuff right there. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. That is probably the most direct version of that question I've ever gotten an answer for. So that is my
go-to, man.
Super cool.
That's
Thank you.
Big gun. I played Starline in Oakland. I did that at midnight. Of course, it's called Midnight Special.
Yep.
And I'll never forget that moment because it was right before the pandemic. It was everybody having a good old time. Nobody knew what the song was, but they knew it hit, and you just saw everybody just getting down. It was dope.
There's something when you find a track that like the design of the track just forcibly moves people.
That's it.
It's something real special. Like was it a Star Child by Jamiroquai?
Oh yeah.
That you put that on, and for the first like 7 seconds where it's just the guitar and the vocals, you're like, okay, like this is cool. And then that bass comes in, and you're just like, oops,
Good luck.
I forgot I'm dancing now.
My knees.
Yeah. And it only gets cooler from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamiroquai's 101, man.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, Jamiroquai's awesome.
There's, oh my God, I'm forgetting the other two artists now, but there's something that's going to be coming out soon that was Jamiroquai featured with like 2 other people for like an album.
Whoa.
And I am so sad I'm blanking on it now. If I can think of it after, I'm going to put it on the screen. It'll be here, but I probably didn't think of it in time, but it's just a powerhouse. And new Jamiroquai, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
If he ever teams up with Frank Ocean, I'm taking a month off of work for that experience.
What made you think of that collaboration?
Well, because they are 2 powerhouses
in their own respect.
I just think that like Frank is somebody who I think if you put him in a room with somebody else, it's going to be transcendental regardless.
Yeah.
And Jamiroquai, I think, is one of the people who could forcibly handle that.
That would be epic.
Yeah.
I'm over here thinking about if Jamiroquai was on Pyramids now, and that would be life-changing, actually.
Well, Jamiroquai, Frank, I'm sure you both watch this.
Yeah.
Get on it. All right.
Call me.
Getting back to you.
All right.
And actually for this next one, kind of segues well. When it comes to new music, do you have like what decides when like new music is going in? What decides when you'll like be like, all right, got to put this there?
When you say new music, are you saying just like within the last decade?
Yeah, let's say stuff that's like coming out now, like fresh stuff.
Ooh, now. I mean, Anderson .Paak and Knowledge as No Worries, that made it into my crate pretty quickly.
Yep.
It's tough. It is.
That's always the thing I imagine for DJs.
I grew
is
up
like
rapping, so like I'm critical of everybody's raps. You know what I mean? So like it's hard for me to go and get new stuff besides like West Side Gun and stuff like that. But that's not really stuff that I want to play out. You know, there's a content thing that I try to make sure I'm playing just positive stuff. So it's a little tough. I mean, very, very popular things that it's kind of hard not to escape from, like the new SZA or like what's her name, Sabrina Carpenter or something like that. Yeah, like things that I get a lot of like requests for. I'm like, okay, I should buy this, fine. But other than that, like it's just got to be real good. I mean, even on like the jazz tip, there's some really great artists that are releasing music to this day. So like I'll get a lot of that new stuff, but it's tough.
No, I got you.
I like playing off of nostalgia. That's like one of my biggest things as far as DJing is playing off of nostalgia. If you don't know it, or if you do know it, it taps into something.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the biggest part of it is like when it comes to a room full of people, you kind of got to go for the things that people know, at least to a varying degree. So, like unless the room is like set up.
Keep the attention going,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. But not like drive too much. And if you play too many unknowns, then you may lose the room dependent upon. So that's why for me, I'm always curious like what will let new music in because it's got to be. I mean, obviously, almost anything Anderson .Paak, I think, gets a pass in a lot of ways. Exactly.
There's a real musicality to his work, and I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Another artist that I definitely will always buy stuff from and put them in is Nick Hakim. Home Shake.
Oh, I love Home Shake. I got to see him live.
Lucky person.
Yep.
Conan Moccasin, like that whole realm is like it's newer, but the musicality of it is like something that I can't not have. Bad Not Good, all of their releases, you know, there's plenty of new stuff that I tap into for sure.
Yeah, very much so. And then as far as your process goes, because you know you've been doing this for a little while now.
Yeah.
How has it changed over the years? And I mean, you don't have to start with like day one, but like, what are the like few like definitive changes in your approach?
The biggest change is, I mean, it's a huge privilege and an honor to be able to play music for a living and kind of have like a big net now that I'm working with KMHD. So the trust is there with a lot of places that I work at. So I want to say the biggest change, I would say, from Oakland to Portland in the last 5 years has been just my willingness to go out there, play the out there thing, or play the unknown music that people don't really know, because they trust you at a certain point in time. I'll play a couple nostalgic pieces that people can like really, enjoy, but for the most part, I'm playing very out there music for the fact of, if there's no dance floor in this venue that I'm doing, the goal is for y'all to just have a good time. The goal is for y'all to have and make memories and discuss amongst each other. I can't do that if I'm trying to be the center of attention. So I'm playing cool, chill stuff. But also, when the time is right, when the energy is up, let's say a big crowd comes in with some energy, match that. You know what I mean? So I want to say my biggest change as far as DJing goes is just being more audacious. You got to know at a certain point that they chose you for a reason, and you can play in that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And actually, that segues well. Let's go ahead and let's talk about your time over at KMHD. And we're gonna kind of broad stroke this. I guess. How did you get started with them?
I was DJing out in Portland. I've done close to about 4,500 gigs in the last 4 or 5 years here in Portland. So I've done a lot of gigs and playing a lot of music that's not really played out. So there was a point in time where I'm playing Brother Jack McDuff, Obligato, and it's like one of my favorite tracks, but not too many people knew it at the time. They only knew it as the sample for Scenario by A Tribe Called Quest. So I'm playing that out. My boy Mike from Specs Records out there in Portland comes up and he's like, man, I really love what you're playing. Really think you got something. You should really reach out to KMHD. They might be having some hiring soon. You should do that. And couple days went by and he reached back out again. He's like, did you do that? And I was like, all right, I'll do it. Like, I thought you was just blowing smoke.
I was gonna say, dang, with the follow-up?
Yeah, with the follow-up, I'm gonna definitely have to reach back. And once I reached out to them, they checked out some of my work, saw that during the pandemic, I didn't really have anything that I was doing. So I was like, let me just make my own radio show. Let me just act like I'm a radio host and play whatever it is that I want to do. That evolved into the manifestation of what I'm doing today. You know what I mean? Of just, I thought I could do it. I did it. And then continue doing what I do out in Portland. Somebody sees me doing what I'm doing and is like, you should transition into this. And once that happened, once they heard what I do and saw some of my work, they were like, okay, let's get you in there. I started in the weekends with a show called First Light. That was an awesome time to be able to do 3 hours Saturday and Sunday. And then eventually I did a show called Silver Linings. That was Monday through Friday. And that was really cool, but on a shorter, more condensed thing. And then recently we've transitioned into just one show every single day at one particular time. That one's called Positive Vibrations. So yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be bringing music to people's day and their home, for their plants, for their dogs, and all that for many years now. And I'm stoked. I love the consistency of it. I love being able to expand minds and expand boundaries. Like, I'm playing music from Turkey, Japan, Brazil, Bosnian, like different stuff. It's so cool. Belarusian stuff. Shout out to Soyuz. It's just really cool to just discover a whole world of music and continue doing what I've been doing since a kid.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that you do now when you do 7 days a week, this is a little behind the curtain. So again, you don't have to put it out there if you don't want to, but is it literally just every day you're going in and you're chopping it up, or do you bank any of it?
I mean, sometimes I bank just in case. Like, if I do a DJ gig Friday night and I get back at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And I got a 9 a.m. show, I used to thug it out. I used to do that, but rest is pretty important
Very much
for
so.
anybody. So I learned the hard way that if I don't make a break for myself, then my body will for me. So long story less long, I do Monday through Friday. I'll come in and do the show. Sometimes I come in Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings, but for the most part I would say like 6 days a week is live, 1 day is archived, just to be able to live a life, have a day, sleep in, know what that's like.
God, one day I'll figure that
One
out.
day,
One day I'll find that again.
I'm struggling all the time.
No, I mean, especially when you're in a realm where you get to do like a thing. First of all, especially when you're in a realm where it's all nights.
Exactly.
When you want to exist in that space, it's gonna throw everything off. But like when it's something that you're so passionate about, something that you're like, you wake up every day, you're like, I can't wait to do this part of my day.
Right. Exactly.
It's real easy to make it an everyday thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then before we move into talking about some of your music, I was doing the old Googling.
Oh man.
And I saw somewhere, and correct me if this is incorrect, but were you at some point the marketing director for Music Millennium?
I was, yeah.
That is awesome. Shout out to Terry.
Shout out to Terry, man.
One of the best audio only interviews I've ever done ever. That
awesome.
changed my life. If y'all jump on Spotify, go check it out. So much fun.
Yeah.
Can you kind of just share your experience there?
Dude, that Music Millennium was my first job in Portland.
Oh, okay.
I moved. I came to visit, and I was like a 3-story record store. Really? Like 3 stories? Are you kidding me? And I walked in there. I probably spent about $300.
Yep.
And
it's real easy to do in there.
And I found some gems. I found some things that I would have never thought that I could find, and I was like, I got to get involved with this in any way. So of course I started in on a lower level, but they started to see that I had an interest in building up the social media. At the time they had about, I want to say like 3,000, maybe 4,000 followers.
Yeah.
But in the 6 months that I was there working as a promotions lead there, took them up to 11,000.
Damn.
With like story posts and just like consistent artwork and things of that nature. And so working under Terry showed me what true consistency and work ethic and don't fix it if it ain't broken mindset. It really taught me a lot. That man Terry is in his mid-80s, walking up and down stairs in a crickety old spot. Like, shout out to Music Millennium, but it's old, you know what I mean? So like for him to every single day, no matter what, with all of his personal things that he has to go through, he still keeps the music at the forefront and shows up for himself every day. Respect it. That man has every ounce of my respect.
And then some. And then some.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever said this out loud on camera before. His was one of His was one of the only interviews where I am so thankful it was audio only because I constantly just lost sight of the fact I was supposed to be asking questions and was just listening.
Absolutely. Like, he'll tell you.
Yeah. Oh, and he
will talk.
And it's you don't realize how old he is when you're in his presence. He's just got so much energy, and he is one of the few people that like he is so excited for the existence of music in every capacity.
You ask him a question about music, he instantly becomes 17 again. He becomes 7. You see it. It's a little glimmer in his eye, and he's just chipper about anything that has to do with music.
He's still that broom pusher.
Not listening to new music. Like it's a sight to see. If you can think of the worst case of a house in Hoarders, but replace all of those things with CDs and vinyl. His office is just, it looks like an I Spy book.
Yep.
It really does.
Oh, I've been in it.
It is a puzzle and a labyrinth of just straight music. He's listened to every single piece in there.
Oh, yeah.
There's huge stacks of CDs. Like, I don't know how he does it. I have no idea how he does it. But yeah, I learned so much from Terry and all the amazing folks over at Music Millennium. I want to say like Parker. Parker Johnson is a genius. That guy is a huge friend of mine, and he was the first person to kind of like introduce himself to me at Music Millennium. He's now a Jackpot. Zach Reno man, just so many folks. Yeah, interesting. Just to be able to be around tons of people who love music in their own general respective genres.
Yeah.
But because of that, you get all those people in there and we're all sharing with each other. So how could I not be eclectic after hanging out with so many folks who love different music? So, yeah.
Also, if you work at a music store, you're gonna acquire things that you would have never touched otherwise. Like I worked at Guitar Center for 10 years. And when I tell you I owned all the instruments, I don't play all the instruments, but I had the access to it. So I was like, well, I know I play bass, but I could use a couple synths. I could use a drum set. I could use a couple guitar. Like
they made a they made a killing with you, man.
Yep. Yeah. One thing they don't tell you with that employee discount.
Yourself, though, remember that?
Oh yeah, no, that was a long time ago. Now.
I feel you.
But the one thing they don't tell you about an employee discount is it doesn't save you money. It just upgrades the gear for the same amount of money you would have spent anyways.
Yeah, that's it. And for me, I was buying records left and right. It was my whole collection just like doubled. I would say tripled when I was working there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I dig that. Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Man, yeah.
But now, actually, no, I lied. I know I said we were going to talk about your music, but I do want to just kind of highlight one other interview you've done with Axios.
Yeah.
And I was checking that out, and I thought it was really cool to like hear more of the history of jazz for Portland.
Yeah.
You know, we are all students, so I'm always learning new stuff every day. I thought it was really cool that you mentioned two past guests from the show, Machado and Brandon Lee.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Both of them, those rascals. I love those guys.
Yeah. But I am curious because
awesome.
when I was up in Seattle, I got to sit down with a lady who does all of the booking for Sea Monster.
Okay.
The Sea Monster Lounge, which is like a big jazz space up there.
Okay.
Do you know, like when like I-5 came through and kind of pushed out a lot of like what was happening here? Do you know if jazz moved up to Seattle at all?
You know, I want to be able to speak to that, but I can't.
Okay.
I can't speak to that.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's fair. That one, I guess, was more for me. Sorry, y'all.
It's okay.
Because there seems to be a scene up there.
I mean, there's a scene in Cambodia.
I guess that's true. Yeah, jazz is pretty transcendental when it comes to places.
It's traveled along all over the world. It really has. And so I love the fact that there's a scene anywhere you can go. Now, the quality of the scene, I'm not sure. But long
Anderson played there, so that's the reason I wanted to circle back to it.
As long as there is a scene, then I'm happy, you know, and as long as we as musicians travel and keep a cool rapport with all these different musicians, there's going to be a melding of styles, and hopefully, there's a reason why, you know, the blues has made it so far. Yeah, you know. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, like I said, I was just curious if you had anything to add on to that one.
Oh, no, unfortunately.
That is all right. Now, like I said, I want to kind of talk about more of your music.
Yeah.
And I jumped on Yield Spotify and I checked out, you know, oh my God, I didn't write down the name. Phrases in, is it?
Lapis.
Okay.
Lapis Lazuli.
Yes. And so I was giving that a listen, and I checked out a handful of your other stuff as well.
Word.
And I thought your sound was really interesting. It's like melodic conscious hip hop, or I guess, you know, rap, however you want to categorize it, but it's a little more avant-garde. Yeah. Just a little bit, but like, it's really good. I mean, your beats are a vibe. All the instrumentation is really engaging, and that kind of makes sense now with what you were saying earlier. And your voice has this really cool presence to it. It's very musical.
Yeah.
But it has a lot of character in it. So kind of like if Kendrick didn't care so much about everything. Exactly. Like it has that like timbre to it, but there's so much personality in your sound with like musical emphasis peppered everywhere. Yeah. And I thought that was really cool. Yeah. One track I did check out in particular that I really enjoyed was Eyeful. And that the design of the track is so powerful. I mean, it opens up with that Malcolm X speech, and like the keys were like really haunting in the beginning.
Right.
But then the beat comes in and suddenly it just smooths out.
Right.
And like, again, your delivery was just really, really interesting for all of it. So I just thought it was a really cool track.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to that. That means a lot to me, man. That was freestyle. That was
knowing that now blows my mind.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Myself and Stephen Fong from Acumen Productions, we sat down with that and really wanted to. I told him I want to make something that sounds like we're just cruising on an empty freeway and at night. You know what I mean? So that was the idea, and I just wanted to stay true to that main idea, that main canvas of thought as possible. And once we got to that bass line, it was a wrap. It just drives it through. And I wanted to, be a melodic diary. That's what I really wanted, as far as that, just like a conscious flow of confidence, like assurance of yourself while still facing adversity, So that's what I wanted to do.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
I am curious though, out of all the tracks you have available, what were some of your favorite ones to perform?
That's a great question. Most of the music that I have out, I did not perform.
Interesting.
I performed the music that I did with Brandon Grimes. I made music with him for about 10 years. Still making stuff here and there.
Yeah.
We're older now, but that's my guy. That's my best friend. And so like sample based hip hop was what I was doing for a long time, but I never released it. Just the foresight of knowing these samples are going to be met with cease and desist and stuff like that. So what I did instead, and this could be telling on myself or whatever, but while I was in Oakland for 6 years, I was performing just about every other weekend or every weekend at different venues, and I was just performing that music. It was cool. It was great. So just straight rhymes and beats. That's what it was. I did a event called Vinyl Pints and Rhymes with this cat by the name of James Wavy, another awesome artist out there in Oakland. He got me involved because he found my music online, and I became the DJ of it and would get off the DJ set and start rapping. And Grimes would come out, start playing the beats, and I'd rap for 30 minutes and then get right on the vinyl. It was just, that was regimen for me every single week.
Damn.
Just something to look forward to, So, but yeah, to your point, never released the music that I was performing.
Wild.
All the time. Right.
Of the ones you were performing, I guess there'd be nowhere for us to hear it, but do you remember ones in particular?
There's
that
a couple
stood out?
videos out. There's a video of my performance on Helen Street Mixer. Much love to them. Mixer with no E. Incredible work from them. They are consistent as ever by showcasing music from all over the world in the backyard of a West Oakland house.
Very La Russell of them.
Very, very. And just, being able to work with them. But yeah, I've got some things out there in the ether of my old performances and what that was. But there was this one track that I did, I would say, which is the most political. It was called Cowboy, and it was basically talking about, the government shutting down at that time. I want to say this was 2018, maybe 2017, the first government shutdown. And it was just, it's funny that today it all echoes itself. So that was a really cool one. And there was another track that I did called with Grimes. That one was, it's funny because they didn't really have names. I only know them by the names of the beat.
That's all right.
But yeah, there's a track called Denzel about myself, my middle name, and that one's cool. Like just using a whole bunch of jazz. Sometimes it's just rapping over jazz or home shake. You know what I mean?
That's easy to do.
Yeah, so fun. But yeah, just maybe one day I'll find a way to release that music. I've always wanted to, really, but
I think technically you can get away with it when you do it on social media in certain ways, but don't quote me on that. There's that one guy that I see, he's always like, these are songs I can't release, or like mashups I can't release. And then he always has stories with them. And I'm like, how does this not count?
And you know,
there's got to be something there somewhere.
Right. But what I loved about not having the music out was that the folks that came out to see it knew about it and wanted to experience it. And that was like the only way.
Yeah, you were like, you have to come see me.
Yeah. So in a way, it was the performance theater that I've always wanted to do. It was like a play, if you will, where you can't go home and watch that play. You got to go to the actual thing to enjoy it. So it became a piece of art for me.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I actually, I guess it's a weird take to reference another podcast on a podcast.
Where
I was watching one, or like a clip from one. I don't even know the name of it, but basically it's this guy on the subway in New York, and they're always like holding the mics on the cards.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What's your hot take?" And the guy was like, "There should be no more new artist recorded music." And he was like, "What?"
That's extreme, but yeah.
That's a wild take. And the guy explained himself, and his explanation was, all the music we have recorded now, there's hundreds of thousands of songs coming out a year.
Yeah.
We've already heard all of the like primary recorded music, like the like iconic things. New music doesn't get that same attention because it's so new. It isn't nostalgic. So to see new music, you should have to go to it. And as much as I disagree with the concept as a totality,
wholeheartedly disagree. Yeah.
I do appreciate the concept of to experience the new music, you should go to it.
Yeah,
like, that's how it. That's how it supports it the most.
Yeah, that's a culture thing that we should absolutely uphold. Like, if you want to support an artist, go see that artist. It's not the same as streaming it. It's not. I mean, there's support in any way. For sure, understood. But at the same time, the only way for us to create culture is by continuing to do things that showcase our presence. That's
exactly.
it. So saying, "Oh, I don't like the idea of like, because it's not what it used to be, we should just cut it off." Like, I'm not cool with that, because exactly what you're doing right now is going to be seen as history from somebody a generation from now. And they would never know that because we're so hyper fixated on recentism. Like that's not fair. We haven't heard it all. Yeah. We have not. Like, there's people used to say R&B.
No way. Yeah.
People used to say R&B is dead, and then I hear this kid named Spooky Black just completely flip my head over. Like, this is huge. Like, we're not done.
No.
There's so many different variations. I mean, with all these mashups that you're hearing too between different genres, and it's this brain tickle. We need more of that. That way we can push the envelope.
Well, that, and I think it allows spaces to exist that had never before, especially with like the merging of music, like the not having to have the hard lines in the sand. Because that, I think, is really only happened in like the last like 15 years, like full on. Like, people have been kind of interacting with each other for a while, but there was that time where you were like, I listen to this, I listen to that. Like, if you go to this show, it is going to be this.
I love that picture of, I think it was like Tupac, Dr. Dre, Cypress Hill, Limp Bizkit, Slipknot, like Red Hot Chili Peppers, all in one picture.
Yeah.
All in one picture. And it's like, when? How? Are you kidding me? And all of them are just kicking it? Like, these different vast sounds of music aren't we can't segregate music, man.
Well, that, and they're made by people all have the same goal in mind.
Exactly.
That's to make the music. And funny enough, I've referenced this before on past episodes. Recently, Red Hot Chili Peppers was here. Like, they played a show up at like Ridgefield or something like that. Yeah. And the opener was like this, and I'm blanking on the name now, but it was like they did more like modern, like melodic trap.
Okay, sick.
Yeah. And I was looking at that lineup, and my friend, like the person who was telling me, was like, this doesn't make any sense, I don't understand. And I was like, no, it makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Because they have Flea as their bass player. Like, of course it makes sense. Yeah.
But getting back to it, I have one more question to go in this middle portion.
Gotcha.
And this next question is probably the densest question in the interview.
Okay.
But we've talked about, your experience with music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and music, one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
music gives me an escape. Music gives me clarity. Music gives me chills. You know what I mean? That feeling of the goosebumps lets me know that I'm alive. It's sort of like how people go chase that dragon or go chase that really fast car. You know what I mean? That's how music makes me feel. It doesn't matter what genre it is. There's a moment in there where all the things kind of clash and you're along for the ride. It's amazing. And to me, that's the reason why I do what I do, because I can't get over that feeling. I get the same feeling every single time. If I could say we every time, I would. Like, yeah, this is life, you know? Mm-hmm.
Man, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you have had music around you for, I don't want to say a super long time, but for most of your life, you have had active music experiences around you.
Absolutely.
And it's cool to hear that, like, even up to this point now, like, I feel like music is very much your direction. It's very much your, like, guiding element.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool that, you know, even though you literally do music 7 days a week, you are, when you're not working for music, you're working for music in some way.
Right.
And so it's really, I guess what's the opposite of disheartening? Heartening.
Yeah.
Very heartening
Yeah.
to hear that, like, even at this point, because it always bums me out when people are like, yeah, I make so much music, I don't listen to music. It's like, whoa. Like, that always blows my mind, and I get it. And I'm not.
What happens with the moon phases?
Yeah, I'm not talking on anybody's process.
I have moments where I drive in silence. It is what it is.
But just it's really cool to hear that, even, you know, for somebody who is doing it as much as one human probably can, that there's still that love for it, that connection for
Gotta
it.
have it.
Yeah.
Gotta
Thank
have
you for
it.
sharing that.
Much love, absolutely.
But now we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Okay, here we go.
And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. Cool. But this first one is pretty straightforward.
All right.
If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive.
Okay.
Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
Man, that is a great question. Man. Whoa. I would want to work with, who am I just so excited to hear more from? There's this guy by the name of Greg Fote from the UK. Mm-hmm. This man is so prolific with music. It doesn't matter. Like, if you want to hear a synth album from him, he's got it. If you want to hear just beautiful ballads, he's got it. If you want to hear futuristic, out of this world sounds, he's got it. This guy, Greg Fote, F-O-A-T. Man, he is a composer's composer, in my opinion. I love cats like Gigi Massine from out in Italy. I love Henry Mancini. I love real cinematic style productions. So to hear his work and know that he's still, like, he released 5 albums last year.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, like, that's the kind of ambition and the kind of work ethic that I feel like if I came at him with some ideas that I had in my head, I could see them fleshed out. There's a dependability aspect to it. That's why I'm not bringing up, like, your usuals. And, you know, like, if I really wanted to work with Pharrell, would he have the time?
Yeah.
You know, would he have the time or something like that, you know? Or is he at a point in his career right now where he would even entertain fleshing somebody else's ideas out?
Yeah.
I feel like this cat, Greg Fote, is such a family person, like such a down-to-earth cat. I feel like he would be more than happy to flesh out some ideas and see where they go.
Yeah.
And it be pressed and it be something that people can hear all over the world. That seems like an actual real thing to me. So I would say that person. But if I were to be generic and choose, like, an artist that everybody would want, Andre 3000.
Okay.
Yeah, I would want to recreate. I would want to recreate something interesting, children inspired, and go for it. I want to do a psychedelic rock album with Andre 3000.
Yo, that would be rad.
That would be crazy.
That would be rad.
Right.
Hell yeah. Well, those are both 2 really cool answers. Thank you.
Oh, much love.
And then subsequently, who's a local person that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to? And that might be a little bit tougher. I know you're out there.
I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of really great folks. You know what, man? I really appreciate I know this person, but I really appreciate their playing and their style of guitar work. Canoed Son of Greater Kind is such a kind soul, such a beautiful person, and really talented on the guitar. His blend of soul and blues and even in some surf aspects, he can really just make any kind of sound he wants to. So I feel like that would be a really cool person to work with, especially fleshing out like my guitar ideas, because I play that as well. And so
hell yeah. Well, everybody, you know what to do. Add them in the comments. Let's see if we can make that happen. And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limit, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it's guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show. It doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere. Where would you want to perform?
Oh man, that would be epic. If I could get clearance from the government.
Area 51. No.
The Grand Canyon, yo.
Oh, we could need government clearance for I guess it is a national park.
Yeah. That would be sick. I mean, just like get thousands of people down there.
Yeah.
Create a
acoustics would be bananas.
That's what I'm saying. The acoustics down there will be epic, and just do like an ambient set. Whoa. That would be sick. That would make my whole life.
That is such a cool idea.
Yeah. Sunset Grand Canyon set. Yeah.
Well, government, I know you watch.
Come on.
Let's get on this.
Yeah.
And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
Wow. This hurts. I've never been asked that. That is...
Oh, dang.
Lucy Pearl. Lucy Pearl, the concept group of Tony. Yeah. I want another album from them.
Damn.
They just banger after banger and the most feel good sounds. Raphael Sadiq is just a mastermind.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the most obscure and coolest answers I've ever gotten to that question.
Yeah, if you know, you know, and when you do know, it's never too late to the party, but they rock, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for that. All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward to between, let's say, like now and August?
Between that time, I got music dropping. I'm actually been working with Parker Johnson, great producer, and a couple other cats as well. Just putting tracks together. I'm gonna be dropping that in some due time. And
are you gonna go album or are you gonna do singles?
Album.
Okay.
Album.
Well, when you do come back, I have another segment called Tuned In, where I sit down with people when they put out albums specifically.
Awesome.
And kind of break down that experience.
Awesome. Yeah. All about it. That sounds great.
Yeah.
And more DJ sets. I'm gonna try to do more like DJ sets for like online, not just for the radio, and make things accessible, and keep rocking.
Oh yeah, well, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
For this next one, go ahead and look straight at your camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Yo, Bryson Wallace here. You can find me on the socials with just my name, Bryson Wallace, no space, BrysonWallace, and also you can find me on KMHD, KMHD.org to stream, or go ahead and just go into your app store and just put KMHD Jazz Radio, and you'll be able to hear me every single day, 10 a.m. on Positive Vibrations.
Oh yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Big shout out to Jared from Clinton Street Records. That's my guy right there. Big love to him. Huge guru for me, and big community organizer and like the liaison for DJs in Portland. Much love to all the folks that are, a part of this music scene, and just in general, much love for, showing me the hospitality and allowing me to do what I do. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's big love.
Hell yeah. All right, then with that being said, I've got one last question to go.
Cool.
But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Cool.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Okay.
And just given your knowledge of music in general, I'm very excited for this one.
Got you.
But what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? It's a bit of a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
Well, can I do two?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Number one, an amazing futurism jazz album that everybody needs to know.
Mm-hmm.
Andre 3000, The Love Below.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't understand that is a jazz album.
Yep.
You have a drum and bass version of My Favorite Things from John Coltrane on there.
Mm-hmm.
Nora Jones on a feature on there as well. Like, that is a jazz album through and through. It's an amazing album. Everybody should know that. You know what? And the other one is it almost sounds like muffled rockabilly going 85 down the highway. This album from Dirty Beaches, it's called Badlands. That album is insane. It is an insane album. I play it back to back whenever like I need like a push or like I'm feeling an attitude or something like that. And it's just a raw, gritty, lovely album that is pushing the boundaries on what's suitable for the moment for me. That album is epic, and I think everybody should give it a listen. It might not be your cup of tea, but for those that get it, if you're just zooming or if you're just going, that thing will keep you going like a freight train. It's true.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is two super solid recs. Thank you so much.
Love. I hope you enjoy it when you check it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, my man. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Bryson.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.